Alright folks, so the purpose of today's video is to just show you really briefly how we take a strategy from origination to order tickets to putting it on radar screen to run on multiple indicators. So I'm not sure how quickly I'll be able to do this, but the objective is to do it fairly quickly. But what we need to do is we need to find a strategy that seems to work for we're looking at penny stocks this morning. So SPRC, HIND, NFE. So we're just going to go with something simple. This is a 1 minute time frame. These are on 5 minute. We're going to go, let's go ahead and change this to 1 minute time frame. Make sure we don't use the wrong time frame in general. So 1 minute time frame. We're going to say, let's do a quick show me first and get a general idea if we're in a correct area for any of these, and then we'll move from there. So I'm going to go over to the development environment. Drag this down, drop that. We'll have a show me. It says penny pop. Be fine. And we're going to say if low is less than SA9 and open is greater than SA200, then so if low is less than the 9, so like we're coming down here, and then we'll say if we get nope, nope, all those volumes are there. Okay, so I had some issues with my recording earlier, and I didn't have my cable plugged all the way in, so I didn't get the recording. So anyway, I'm going to try to narrate it for you. I think this is about the point in time where we kind of started our script. So what I typically would start with is just a general entry criteria, the condition. So I know that with a penny stock, we're going to be moving up aggressively. That's what we're doing anyway. We're looking at these top gainers of the day. So we definitely want to say that the price needs to be above the 200 period moving average. And then we're going to have a condition that is a flag for our start of entry. So we'll call it F1 start. The F stands for flag. The 1 designates that it's the first condition in the series of flags. And I've made scripts before that might have 4 or 5 flags in the set of condition in the series. And if you just name them flag entry, flag fair value gap, flag this, flag that, it's hard to tell where they are in the series. So what I've started doing is just naming or numbering where we are in the series, and that's been really helpful. Okay, so the next thing I'm looking for is trying to decide how to make this strategy. Because we obviously want to enter at a pullback, right? So we don't want to enter at the height of a move, because then we have to sit through a pullback. But we do need to make sure that the chart is moving up. But I think what I decided is that to enter in a pullback, we want to find a pullback that has had a swing high that broke the previous swing high. And we needed to use vectors to hold the swing highs and the swing lows. And now I'm trying to figure out when we start capturing these swing highs and these swing lows, because if we capture them too early in the downstroke, then the downstroke could easily be broken, and then we'll be entering too early. We'll be entering in the downstroke. So what I decided is that bearish leg there, we're going to capture that we're still in a bearish leg if the linear regression of the number of bars there is actually less than a certain slope. So I'm using a plot, and then I'll use the function linear regression to find out what the angle is of that slope. Now you see here, I went ahead and tried to apply the indicator to the chart and I got a max bars back setting error. That's just because we didn't have 200 max bars back to capture the 200 moving average. Now we have that set up straight. Now we have the linear regression. We see we want the linear regression to be less than 0 or so. So we'll move on from there. Hello, hello. Okay, all right. We always take it for granted that our equipment works like it's supposed to. So obviously you guys didn't hear anything I was saying there. So let's just continue on though, because that's what we have to do. All right, so what I'm looking for is the linear regression here. So when I click on this, I'm getting the linear regression, the angle come up. So 0.30, 0.38, 0.3, negative. Now it's negative. Now it's negative 1 point. Now it's negative that. Now it's getting to 0. So, okay, so I think, yeah, we'll clear the vectors when the linear regression of 14, this number here gets under 0. So we'll say if this is less than 0, then begin and v lows dot clear, v highs dot clear. I think this is going to do what I wanted to do. Yeah, so we'll clear it and then we'll begin to start over again here. So now if SL is greater than 0, then the lows, that's the lows dot pushback. I'm going to push back the swing low. Let's see. Do I want it to be pushed back? I want it to be inserted. I want it to be closer to 0. Yeah, insert at the 0 index, swing low. Okay, and then if swing high is greater than 0, then v highs dot insert of 0 swing high, and then if F1 start is true, and begin, we're going to say that if F1 start is true, now we'll say as we're looking through these bars, F1 is true. As we're looking through these bars, if we have a swing high that is higher than the swing high before it, which this one wouldn't be, because this swing high came in here, so then this would be disqualify it. But then you get a swing high here. This swing high is greater, so then you would potentially take an entry here. But this is not that close. Okay, just look for the swing high to be broken. Linear regression going up. Swing high greater than the swing high before it. Take an entry as long as price is above the swing low, and you have a new higher high made. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, we'll do that. Start, begin. If v highs dot count is greater than or equal to 2, so we at least have 2 in there. And so when that's true, we can go on into the rest of the code. So if the v highs dot count is greater than 2 and v highs of the most recent index is greater than v highs of the one before it, as type double, then we want to capture the v lows before it. Then begin in v lows of the most recent index as type double. So we need to have a v lows also. if V lows count is greater than or equal to 1, and we do have highs, then we'll compare the highs one before the other, and if V lows, let's see, V lows is going to be our, we'll make this our stop loss, essentially. That made a higher high. This would have to be our stop loss. Or some margin of that. So right now we'll just make that the stop loss. S loss, T profit. So stop loss is going to be that lows, the most recent low, and then the profit target, we would shoot for some distance between, okay, we don't need to decide that yet because we need to find out when we enter. Okay, so we have our stop loss though. All right, and then so if F1 start is true, F1 start is false, and then F2 flag 2 pull, it's a pullback, flag 2 pull equals true. So if F1 F2 pull, then we're going to do this, and if this does happen to be true, we're capturing the stop loss, and we're saying F3, and we're saying F2 pull equals false. So we're going to the next condition. F3 entry equals true, and we'll say if F3 entry and high, and now this will be intrabar persist stuff, because we want to actually, we don't need to be intrabar persist because just on every bar we can set an entry. No, because if we make it a limit, it has to be a limit order. To enter in that direction at price or lower, and then that'll put us in immediately. So but we ought to be able to enter in with a stop. So we could say if F3 entry and begin, if market position equals 0, then buy entry, buy next bar at the high of whatever bar you're at the high stop. That'll put you in. So say when this bar closes, that'll say, all right, well, we should be entering at the high of this bar on a stop. Or when this bar closes, it'll say, all right, well, we should be entering at this bar stop. And then the next bar actually hits that. So it should put you in. All right, so then by entry next bar stop. All right, when we do that, now we've got our high. So we need to find out what the entry price is. So if we take an entry here, now we need to go ahead and calculate. And we don't know we need to leave entry on, leave it on until some point hits. So when should we turn F3 entry off? Coming into the bar, when should we turn F3 entry off? If close is less than this stop loss, then F3 entry equals false. That means that if price keeps dropping down, then we're just going to cancel the whole thing. We can look for another entry at a later point, but we're going to cancel the whole thing. Or if price comes up here and then just keeps going up, instead of coming up here and wicking down, if it goes on, if it closes above it, then maybe then we need to also turn it off. All right, so we'll just do that for now. If close is greater than, so how are we capturing this swing high here? Well, we need to have something for it. High limit. High limit is equal to V highs of 0 as type double. Okay. All right. So the high limit. All right. So again, we're going to need another variable for high limit. All right. And so if price crosses over a high, if the close gets above the high limit, then F3 entry is equal to false also. All right. But if it goes above high limit and we're already in position, it doesn't matter because we used the entry already. Okay. So that handles that. And then now we need to say if we bought, if we're in position, then we need to turn this F3 entry off. So on a subsequent bar, if market position is not flat, then begin in F3 entry is equal to false. And also now is where we're going to capture or calculate our profit target. So now we're going to take our average entry price wherever we end up entering at. We're going to take that average entry price and use that to subtract our stop loss to calculate our profit target. So we need okay, we already have the target profit there, but that is not been taken yet. So target profit is equal to the average entry price, which should be above the stop loss minus stop loss, and that's going to be a point amount. And so we're going to take that point amount and add that to our average entry price, and we can have some type of factor on here like a 1.5. So instead of it being a 1-to-1, it'll be a 1.5. All right. So we turn that false, calculate our target profit. We already have our stop loss managed down here. And now we can look to exit. So, and we can do that on this bar here too. X, we're going to, since we're only doing longs right here, I guess we could just do it in this bar. Sell, next bar, sell next bar, target profit. So sell next bar, target profit, and that'll be a limit. And then this, we need to call that TP or sell stop loss, next bar, S loss, stop. All right. So we got stop loss, target profit, high limit. We have F1 start. We need F2. I think it was pull. F3 entry. What else did we use? Swing high, swing low. Got our vectors. And yeah, see what we missed. Position information in a study, not allowed in a study. Oh yeah, I switched because typically I'm working strategies, but now I've switched over to doing to putting this in a show me. So I don't need to do the market position stuff. I just need to see if we're entering at the right place. So comment those out. Comment that out. And we can let the flags continue to flag as they would. All right, I still have a position something in here. Market position. Let's see. If market position is not, so if we're not flat, then where are we entering at? So here, if F3 entry, if we're flat, then buy. You know what? I'm just gonna copy this over to a strategy. Uh-oh. Get rid of that. That's, and H limit. Oh, I put high limit. Okay, well there I put H limit. All right. Let's make it high limit. Plot 1. Don't need that plot, or can't have plot information in the strategy. All right, so now there's no errors. So let's come over here and see if we can get some visualizations on here of how this is working. So penny pop strat. Bar reference. So we needed at least 220 because we are in position slippage. It's going to be different for penny stocks. So there's no commissions, and for slippage, we'll just put 20 cents. I mean, 5 cents. I mean, depending on, it really depends on what you are trading. No trades. Oh, that's a terrible equity curve. But it's not showing me what I want to see here. That's the problem. I'm not worried about everything else. So, and all this isn't really going to amount to hill beans anyway, because the liquidity is so low that, I mean, nothing makes sense over there. So we'll just say if date is current date, then that's when we can start any of this sequence. Date is current date. Okay, So now we turn that on. Now we look over here and we shouldn't have anything because we're just working with this. All right, so again, if date is current date, begin F1 start, and F1 start is true, then begin. Okay, how do we get F1 start to being true? The open has got to be greater than the 200 period moving average, and the swing low has got to be greater than 0. No, we don't need swing low to be greater than 0. If open is greater than 200 period moving average and V lows dot count is greater than 0. Okay, so that means that we have some swing lows in our container. Okay. All right. But we are clearing the vectors if this is low. Okay. All right, so swing low, swing high. Swing low is greater than 0, then insert. Swing high is greater than 0, then insert. All right, date that. F1 start. F1 start is true. F1 if date is current date and F1 start, that's true. That's false. That's true. That and F lows dot count is greater than 1 and 2 highs. So it technically wouldn't start giving us until we got this high here, and then we got this high here. Now it could start into checking for the pull. And here would be false. Here would be false. Here would be false because this high is lower than this high. Here would be false because this low is higher than this high. But now here it should be true. This high is greater than this high. So so now we have a V highs of 0 greater than V highs of 1 ago. S loss is going to be V lows of the most recent one, which should pull to this lows here. And then high limit is going to be V highs of 0. I can see one place because this is not technically a high yet. This is just a price. This becomes a high when we get into here. So this high is greater than this, and then the swing lows would be probably here. Yeah. All right, so then F2 pull is equal to false, F3 entry is equal to true. If F3 entry, if market position is 0, then buy next bar high stop. So that should be fine. Now, if close is less than the stop loss, close is less than loss, close is less than loss, then F entry is equal to false. Or if close is greater than high limit, then it's false. Well, here, high limit might start off at being 0. We need to say if F2 pull is true. If F2 pull is true and we're waiting for F3 entry to happen, that's when we're wanting to shut this down, not just any time. So this needs to be within this block. Now verify. All right. Still not showing up. Just make sure it's on. It's on. Okay, so let's print. If we ever get into this field here, if we ever get into this F3 entry block, we want to know. So verify, open up the print log. Sorry. All right, so we never came into it. All right, how about, do we ever come into F2 pull? I'm gonna copy that, paste. Yes, we came into it a couple times. Today is 9/17. We're in it from 409. 409. So we're in it all the way back here. And I think what the problem is that it never, well, it should have got shut off. It should, F2 pull should have got shut off at some point, because like I said, oh, wait a minute. This doesn't need to go in here. This needs to go in F3 entry. Because if F3 entry is true, then we want to cancel it if these have happened. We don't want to cancel it just anytime out in the middle of nowhere. All right, so now we turn that on. All right. And now from there, let's run it. So we're still getting several times where F2 pull is true. Now we need to know, even though F2 pull is true, we need to know if any of these instances are true inside this block, because really that block is what makes up F2 pull. All right, so when I verify that, nothing comes up. So what that's telling me is something is either too restrictive with this block, or it's just not happening. VLOWs is never getting loaded up, or it's continuously getting cleared. Oh, I said if this is less than 0. Yes, that's right. If it's less than 0, if we're coming down, then we want to clear it. All right. Just for kicks and giggles. Let's see what time we're clearing this thing. We shouldn't be clearing it much after 8 o'clock. Yet we are. Right? 6, 7, 8. No. Okay, we're only on 9/17. So on 9/17, after 8 o'clock, 8, 8:01, 8:02, 8:03, 8:04, 8:05, 8:05, 8:06, and then we start clearing again at 8:28. So yeah, that linear regression is too restrictive. So we'll say if it's less than, turn it off on this other one. All right. Where is, okay, high limit. All right, so we still have some negatives here. 0.08, 0.06, 0.07, 0.04. There we get our negatives again. And we need this not to be negative because we're actually coming in. When we get into here, now we're looking to enter again. Okay, so if not negative, negative 0.03, 0.02, what did this get down to? This got down to 0.15, 0.14. So we'll say it was less than negative 0.1. Or, yeah, 0.1. Then we'll erase. How about that? Boom. Well, is that okay to be considered a number with a space in there? All right, let's go and change it on here. Negative 0.1. Verify that. Now we got some entries. All right, let's see what this curve looks like. Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right. All right, but it still didn't. Okay, well, it didn't take this entry here because it took an entry here. Okay. All right. All right. So we're going to take this strategy. We're going to say, hey, this will work. And we're going to make it into an indicator strategy. So it actually trade live on our radar screen. You can't apply your strategy to your radar screen. Okay, so if you come over here and you add a plus here so that you can start adding strategies, adding studies to your radar screen, you'll see that you'll get indicators, show me's, or paint bars. Okay, but you can have code run from your indicators. You just have to set it up right, and that's why we're using this one. So, but now we just need to figure out how to do it without using the strategy information. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll come over here. We'll open this up because we need a little bit of space to work now. Toolbox. We know we need about 4 tickets. We at least need an initial order ticket. We need a bracket order ticket to exit, and then we need a order since order ticket. Okay, now we come over here to properties, open that up. This is going to be OSOT. We're just changing the names of them. This one's going to be order ticket for symbol. We're going to go with whatever symbol is on the chart. Get account ID. It's going to be a stock. We're only trading 1 share. Action will be this initial one is to buy. It'll be a. Do we want to do a market entry? Yeah, we'll do a market entry. So we'll say if price crosses over the high. Okay, so now that we have order ticket set up, we're going to go over and take order ticket and assign it to the order since order ticket. Go to bracket order ticket. I'm going to rename that to BOT. And for the symbol, it's going to be whatever symbol's on the chart. Stock account is get account ID down to 100 to 1. Action will be sell. It's the opposite of what we're doing is buying. And so the target type will be a limit, and then the protection type will be a stop market. Okay, duration, day. We are in the day trading times now, so we don't really need to do anything else with the rest of this, but we do need to set our sell and our limit. We need to set our limit and our stop prices before we put the position on. Now, once at the beginning of the chart, we need to assign our secondary ticket to our order since order ticket. So OSOT dot secondary ticket. Is it tickets? Ticket? I don't know. Let's see. Dot secondary tickets. Yeah, plus equals, because it can be more than one. It's going to be BOT, bracket order ticket. So you only need to do that once at the beginning of the chart. And then we're going to come in here, and then so if this is true, if F3 entry, then we're going to, and we made some corrections through here, right? So we took the F3 entry and we put these closing of the flags, the canceling of the flag, we put that within the flag itself. So take that, put that there, and now F2 pull, that F2 entry false, 1 start. I think we did something else with this. This was vlows dot count is greater than 0. Yep, vlows dot count is greater than 0. Then that start. That date is the current date. We don't need to do that. But we do want to only take entries if we are live on the chart. So otherwise it will try to send order tickets otherwise. And we're setting this up to send order tickets. This needs to be intrabar persist, market position. Okay, all right, so F2 pull, if that, need to open these up, but I might not use them. I just need to figure out what to do with them. Again, slope, clear. Where is our entry at? Here. The market position is 0. So instead of finding the market position to be in 0, we're going to go to Toolbox. We're going to open a position provider. It's going to be called PP. And load is going to be true. How are we going to filter the account? Get account ID, whatever account is on the chart. Symbols, we're going to only have a symbol that that is on the chart that we're using, right? So if we're using the radar screen, it's going to pull up a bunch of different position providers. We only need the symbol of the ticker for which it's applied. So we'll say, instead of saying if market position is 0, we'll say if position provider dot try position of symbol and account, symbol, and get account ID. So if that is null, which means we don't have a position on, then we can buy, because we don't want to put a position on if we already have a position. Then we can buy, enter, next bar, high. So if we don't have a position, and get app info, AI real-time count, which means that we are on a real-time bar, equals 1. Then we can buy the next bar, entry at stop, but we're not going to buy it at the stop. We're going to X enter. We're going to use a method. We're going to use the, where do we want to buy it at? If F3 entry, so if the close, because we're doing inch-bar order generation, if close is greater than high of a bar ago, like I said, this is on a tick basis. And since we're changing this inside a tick also, then F3 entry probably needs to be inch-bar persist. Yes, if we're going to change it within a tick. These other ones don't need to be inch-bar persist because we're just running them at the end of the bar. But everything's running on every tick, unless we say, we can just make this say if bar status of 1 is equal to 2. That way we won't overrun the program. Then begin, in, and that way all this stuff won't run every tick, except for this here will run every tick if F3 entry is equal to true. So F3 entry is got to be a intra-bar persist. And does anything else change on the intra-bar? All this changes. End of the bar, this close high limit. Okay, so then X enter the high of a bar ago. So if close crosses over the high of a bar, if close crosses over a high of a bar ago, and we don't have a position on, and it's a lifetime bar, then enter, I guess we could enter immediately. It'll just be a market order. So we're going to go back and change this order ticket to a market. It's already a market ticket. Okay. Then X enter. And so now we're going to have a method for this. Method X, method void X enter. We should pass in the, even though we're doing a market order, and market position won't work here. We're doing a market order. We want to pass in the stop loss and the take profit. So the stop loss is that, and the take profit is what we calculated up here. So we had to do this for a strategy, but for order tickets for the indicator, I think we can do it a little differently. So if F2 is pull, then we're already holding on to the stop loss down here. So we can just take whatever the high is of a bar go. This, then begin, and so we'll say that we won't use this. We'll say that the take profit is going to be equal to the high of a bar go minus stop loss, and then we're going to add that to high of a bar go by some profit factor, right? Okay, so that's our take profit. We already have our stop loss. We're going to pass our take profit in here. So now we have our stop loss and our take profit, which is double Z loss, double Z profit. So now we need to assign our bracket order ticket, which is bracket order ticket dot limit price. It's going to be equal to Z profit, and bracket order ticket dot stop price is equal to Z loss. All right. And then we're going to send the order ticket, osot.send. And we could store it. I've got to look and see what those other functions were for storing it. We could have an order. So we have to use using tsdata.trading. And then we'll have an order. We'll call it OD, null. And then we will assign this order when it sends. Actually, it will be orders, because this will be more than one. And so when you get ready to send these orders, you can send, see if you hit down, return all. We'll return them all. Orders. And then we'll have another, well, I mean, gosh, I don't really want to do all this right now, but orders provider is going to be true, OP, and then we should really only do this on one chart, because what I'm thinking about doing is, oh yeah, so we can do it on this. So we'll just filter by symbol. Symbol, get account ID. All right, and then we need to start some type of notepad or something that will have the information stored where we want to print this to. So I'm gonna start a text document. I'm gonna call it penny orders. Let me get the name of it. Get the information, copy as path. Okay, and then so I think there's like a ELC print order ticket, print format order ticket. I think that's the one. Format and order as a string. So order ticket, decimal places. So order ticket will be, well, I don't want it here. It would have to be in whenever we have an orders provider and order updated event, we would do, and because TradeStation doesn't have their stuff together in terms of orders working, we have to say for, well, I guess every order will come through here instead of getting information here and then doing an updated event and being able to see which order is doing what. We're just going to get information about every single order, and that'll be fine. Okay, so file append. What are we appending? The file name is going to be that bad boy. And then what string text? We're going to do ELC print, ELC format ticket, ELC format order, order. And then the order, the decimal place, and then whether or not we're showing options. Order, which will be, is it the args? Args dot order decimal places 2 and then true. I think that's what we're doing. Close that, close that, close that, and we'll say if args dot order exists, then we're going to do this fast file append. Okay, all right, so I made a lot of changes there, and I haven't even tried to verify anything yet. So let's try verifying and see how many issues we run into. This properties, like I said, does need to be updated. Each value persists. Click OK. Hit verify. Reference or value or out value must be assignable variable. That's talking about line number 94, which this is line number 94. So again, I've been having issues with my development environment. I don't know about anybody else, but I wonder, is it this? I don't know about anybody else, but I'll get errors and then it won't go to anything. It won't go to anything. So that's a bit upsetting to me. And no, I haven't cleaned up the code. Okay, so no errors now. So yeah, this is going to be the issue. This is going to be, oh, you know what? Orders is a problem. Order is a problem because, no, it's not, because we're using TS data.trading. Order OD. It's in here. It's probably this ELC format order. Let's see, it needs to order decimal places and show options. And it formats an order ticket as a string. Order. A reference or value out value must be assignable variable. I'm pretty sure it's referencing that though. So what we're going to do is we're going to say OD is equal to, we're going to say if args.order is not null, then begin OD is equal to args.order. Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, it's only one. Args.order as type order. And then we're going to do our file append. Then we're going to close that block. And it still has a problem with that. You know what? File append. Does file append have to be equal to something? No, it doesn't. But I do need a new line at the end of it, though. We have our have that. Well, let's just get rid of this for the time being. Well, I think it wants something there. You know what? I think ELC order format has to be equal to something. So we need to take this out. Even though it returns a string, I think you have to sign it first. Or it'll be happier if you sign it first. String Z string. We're going to say Z string is equal to that. And then we'll put Z string in here. Nope. A reference or out value must be an assignable variable. Which one is an out value? Oh, well, we did all this work, so we need to just put OD right there. That's the order. Okay, yeah, that's what it like. It doesn't want you to put args.order in there. And I've seen that before, and I don't know why that is, but it would rather you reassign that and then before dropping it in. So if I take args.order and then just put that there, now it gives me an error. But I'm taking the same order and I'm just as typing it. Let's see if I do as type there. Yeah, it still doesn't like that, right? So I need to find out why that is, but it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and add this to the radar screen, and then I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to leave for the day, and then we'll see what happens. So penny pop. And then we will have to turn on the ability to place orders. Penny pop. Oh, we have to put at least one plot on here. So we'll say if pp.state equals data state.loaded, then begin, and if pp.try position provider.try position of symbol and get account ID is not null. So if it exists, then plot 1 will be the profit loss. pp dot position of symbol and account, symbol get account ID dot position. There's something. Open P&L. Open P&L. And this is going to be, this is a number, so we're going to change it to a string. So num to string. And then we will 0, 2 decimal places. And then this would be PL. I don't know if it'll put that hyphen in there, but just P&L. Make it black. else plot 1 is going to be equal to no position. And we need to, because we use the state, the data state, we need to use tsdata.common. Plot 1, no position. This will be called PL, just like before, and we'll make it red. All right, so no errors. All right, but we do need to turn it on and allow it to place orders. So now that we have a plot, penny pop, add that, customize it. User define, we had at least 220 moving average, so we need to reference 220 bars, enable order placement objects, and we need to load at least 220 bars for our calculation of the moving average. Hit OK, hit OK, and now no position, no position. All right, very good. So we're just going to let that run, and we'll see how this looks during the day if we get some positions on. Looks like I got a position on one. I got a notification. Yep. All right, so already on this one, we're in. We're 20 cents down. All right, let's see if we put our bracket order in. Click on that. Boom. Came in, put our bracket order in, but that is a heck of a... So we need to work on some flags here because it put us in for 11 shares. Okay. And unless I accidentally put 11 in, it went 11 ticks and put us in that many times. Now I might have accidentally did 11 shares when I was moving kind of fast here. No, we're just buying one share. Buying one share. Okay, so it obviously went in too many contracts. Let's see what these other ones did. This one went in 5 contracts. Yeah, so we need to put a flag. Flag intrabar persist flag Z position. We'll make it false. Okay, and so what we'll say is, even though we're checking to make sure that we're flat, if we send an order to enter, then we can't send another order. So if that crosses over that, and live bar begin Z position is equal to true. So Z, if we did this one time, then Z position cannot be, if we did this one time, then Z position is true. So Z position cannot be true if we come to this again. So if Z position is equal to false, then we can look at this other stuff and consider entering again. And then, like I said, if Z position is false, then we come into the block and we set Z position equal to, we got a bunch more orders coming in. Ticks are rolling in. Let's turn off our too late. Too late. Too late. All right, but that is the, let me go ahead and verify that. Hopefully it can stop the madness. Nope, too late. Send error. So this is just some of the stuff that you go through, guys. I mean, you know, it is. All right, so if Z position, yep, just shut all that down. I think it shut everything down. Oh, all right, I gotta get out of here. Phooey! All right, well, we'll be back. I'll show you how we fix that, and then, yeah, I'll show you how we fix that. All right, I'm out. Peace. All right, so yeah, like I said, I changed this thing to the 5-minute time frame. I think we were getting too much. The volume being too thin, and probably what I need to do is say, all right, well, the volume needs to be over a certain amount. Yeah. That's what I need to do. And the volume doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be less liquid, right? Because if you have a stock that has a very, very low cost, but the volume is high, that still doesn't mean that there's a lot of transactions. It could just still be a few transactions. It's just that the price is so low that there's more transactions happening at one time. So you can't go by volume. You can't go by price. You got to figure something else out in between. But one thing that I do need to do is say, like, the volume has got to be greater than, we'll say greater than 10 million, because 10 million is 3 million down here. What, this one here? I don't know. I mean, and maybe it's okay, but even for a 5-minute bar, these dojis look very thin. I mean, it looks like there's just not much movement. There's so much agreement there. Look at this overlap. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so we're going to say that the volume has got to be over. Volume today, it's got to be over, greater than or equal to 10 million. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. And that is how you narrow down your radar screen. Okay. So right now we have positions on all these. Okay, come on, work for me. And you can do it. And you can do it. And you can do it. Yeah, it's going to hit. And that was going to be tough. Is that? No position on this. Because if it was, the stop would be way down here probably. Okay, and then we're at SPRC. And you can do it. Oh, okay, that one ended in profit. Very good. Okay, so not awful. Not awful. All right, let's let it keep running. We'll make some changes to our script if we need to. Probably not. I'm just going to scrap this one and move to another one. Earnings report, min spread. All right, we're going to open up this notepad and see if it took any trades. Where is the... Let's open this up. See if we got any logs. All right. Penny orders. Okay, so it did work properly. But notice one thing we didn't do is we didn't put that new line on there like we said we were supposed to. So this is all almost unusable. So again, when you're doing this file append, this is just going to append the next string to whatever's already there. So it's just going left to right. So once we put this string in here, we need to put a new line at the end of it. Okay, so verify that. And now next time, oh, it's already done it. Already got some orders. Okay, so right, so whenever the orders and everything go through, it'll put a new line at it, and then so it'll drop to the next line. Keep it organized. And that's what I was telling you about the queued, right? There's some here that are sending. I thought I saw queued in here. Queued. Now who is queued? Queued is FGNX. All these are FGNX. So FGNX sell. Let's see what's happening on FGNX. And I don't think we saw it just a second ago. We didn't. The reason we didn't see it is it was probably one of those stocks that was. See if we get rid of this. Now it's one of these that had end up being filtered out. FGNX, and actually it's not even on this list anymore. So that's one of the other things I come to understand about this gainers list. This gainers list will change. And so I don't know if it's just top 16 or how they do this gainers list. But, and what is this? The ash is greater than $5. If we look at, and it might have dropped off because the ash is different price. Well, this is $125. Oh, this is QBTX. $8. So yeah, this is keeping that from working because that one is over. It's $8 something. So let's put this to 9, and then there's your FGNX right there. Okay, and that's where we are. That put in a funky order, right? So it put us in right here. Okay, so we're out already. Okay, let's go ahead and get this back up, back down, so we don't get into another position there. But 2 wins, right? We got a win there, and we got a win there. So, and this looked like this was a loss, but it shouldn't have exited on the same bar it entered on. Actually, it could, because this is it puts in the order with a bracket. So if the bracket order would have went in right here for the entry, but I guess it just pushed up so far, it's probably very thin and the spread is very wide. So because the entry is a stop market and not a limit, if it was a limit, it would have put me in right there, whenever. But I have it as a stop market, so it puts me in up there. Thing about the stop markets, thing about the limits is that, especially with these penny stocks, you might not end up getting an entry, which would be fine too, I guess. But okay, all right. So we have 9 there. We need to add this 10,000. This, well, it's not putting in anything. Volume today greater than or equal to. There we go. Okay, 10. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. All right, so that's it. Like I say, the orders that were just taken would be FGNX. You see there, it says you are out. It filled one of the orders and it canceled the other one of the bracket, right? So it filled the limit because we hit the profit target, and it canceled the stop market. All right, APLM is doing its thing. So yeah, we'll just let it keep running, and we'll pay attention to what happens at the end of the day. All right, guys, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace. All right, so yeah, like I said, I changed this thing to the 5-minute time frame. I think we were getting too much, the volume being too thin, and probably what I need to do is say, all right, well, the volume needs to be over a certain amount. Yeah. That's what I need to do. And the volume doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be less liquid, right? Because if you have a stock that has a very, very low cost, but the volume is high, that still doesn't mean that there's a lot of transactions. It could just still be a few transactions. It's just that the price is so low that there's more transactions happening at one time. So you can't go by volume. You can't go by price. You got to figure something else out in between. But one thing that I do need to do is say, like, the volume has got to be greater than, we'll say greater than 10 million, because 10 million is 3 million down here. What, this one here? I don't know. I mean, and maybe it's okay, but even for a 5-minute bar, these dojis look very thin. I mean, it looks like there's just not much movement. There's so much agreement there. Look at this overlap. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so we're going to say that the volume has got to be over. Volume today, it's got to be over, greater than or equal to 10 million. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. And that is how you narrow down your radar screen. Okay. So right now we have positions on all these. Okay, come on, work for me. And you can do it. And you can do it. And you can do it. Yeah, it's going to hit. And that was going to be tough. Is that? No position on this. Because if it was, the stop would be way down here probably. Okay, and then we're at SPRC. And you can do it. Oh, okay, that one ended in profit. Very good. Okay, so not awful. Not awful. All right, let's let it keep running. We'll make some changes to our script if we need to. Probably not. I'm just going to scrap this one and move to another one. Earnings report, min spread. All right, we're going to open up this notepad and see if it took any trades. Where is the... Let's open this up. See if we got any logs. All right. Penny orders. Okay, so it did work properly. But notice one thing we didn't do is we didn't put that new line on there like we said we were supposed to. So this is all almost unusable. So again, when you're doing this file append, this is just going to append the next string to whatever's already there. So it's just going left to right. So once we put this string in here, we need to put a new line at the end of it. Okay, so verify that. And now next time, oh, it's already done it. Already got some orders. Okay, so right, so whenever the orders and everything go through, it'll put a new line at it, and then so it'll drop to the next line. Keep it organized. And that's what I was telling you about the queued, right? There's some here that are sending. I thought I saw queued in here. Queued. Now who is queued? Queued is FGNX. All these are FGNX. So FGNX sell. Let's see what's happening on FGNX. And I don't think we saw it just a second ago. We didn't. The reason we didn't see it is it was probably one of those stocks that was. See if we get rid of this. Now it's one of these that end up being filtered out. FGNX, and actually it's not even on this list anymore. So that's one of the other things I come to understand about this gainers list. This gainers list will change. And so I don't know if it's just top 16 or how they do this gainers list. But, and what is this? Ash is greater than $5. If we look at, and it might have dropped off because the Ash is different price. Well, this is $125. Oh, this is QBTX. $8. So yeah, this is keeping that from working because that one is over. It's $8 something. So let's put this to 9, and then there's your FGNX right there. Okay, and that's where we are. That put in a funky order, right? So it put us in right here. Okay, so we're out already. Okay, let's go ahead and get this back up, back down, so we don't get into another position there. But 2 wins, right? We got a win there, and we got a win there. So, and this looked like this was a loss, but it shouldn't have exited on the same bar it entered on. Actually, it could, because this is it puts in the order with a bracket. So if the bracket order would have went in right here for the entry, but I guess it just pushed up so far, it's probably very thin and the spread is very wide. So because the entry is a stop market and not a limit, if it was a limit, it would have put me in right there, whenever. But I have it as a stop market, so it puts me in up there. Thing about the stop markets, thing about the limits is that, especially with these penny stocks, you might not end up getting an entry, which would be fine too, I guess. But okay, all right, so we have 9 there. We need to add this 10,000. This, well, it's not putting in anything. Volume today greater than or equal to. There we go. Okay, 10. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. All right, so that's it. Like I say, the orders that were just taken would be FGNX. You see there, it says you are out. It filled one of the orders and it canceled the other one of the bracket, right? So it filled the limit because we hit the profit target and it canceled the stop market. All right, APLM is doing its thing. So yeah, we'll just let it keep running and we'll pay attention to what happens at the end of the day. All right, guys, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.